Hey, TDK here for the Best Buy blog, and in this video we look at the Kobo Elipsa 2E. This is a follow-up from Kobo's previous Elipsa that comes with a pen to let you take notes as you please. There's a reason why Kobo calls this the Elipsa 2E, because it's an upgrade but not a massive upgrade. So if you know anything about the original Elipsa, that was the first time that Kobo made an e-reader that you could also write on with a pen. This time around, though, you have a more refined experience. So if you missed out on the first one, this might be the one that you want to go with, especially if you're interested in using one of these. In many ways, there are a lot of similarities with the original model. It's the same 10.3-inch e-ink display. The general size, like the weight of the device, is more or less the same, but there are some differences in design that I think are very interesting. For example, 85% of the casing of the device is made from recycled materials, 10% of which are from ocean-bound plastic. I think that's great, and Kobo is, I think, going to continue doing that with more of its devices. You also have a different back, so the backing is textured, it's just easier to kind of hang on to. This is significant because the original Elipsa came with a sleep cover case that also covered the back. In this case, you're not getting a case. So no, the sleep cover case that I have on here is actually sold separately. It does not come with the device, but I do recommend getting one primarily so that you have somewhere to put the pen. So this is the first time that you'd be writing on one of Kobo's e-readers. I think it's going to be an adjustment, right? You're just not used to writing on it, but it is cool to be able to write on ebooks, and you can write on anything. So you could write on any of Kobo's ebooks or anything that you've brought in. Let's say it's a PDF. In any case, for the most part, anything that you write on the margins, anything you write on the screen, even like circling text, crossing things out, whatever it is you want to do, all that will be saved on your device itself. You won't see these changes though, so anything that you've highlighted, anything you've written down, for example, will not appear if you're looking at the same ebook, let's say on an app on an Android or iPhone, iPad, Android tablet, things like that. Those types of devices will not have those notes on there. Same thing goes for also other Kobo devices. So if you're using a Kobo device that especially doesn't have a pen, you won't see the notes on there either. They are specific to this device. The other big change for me that I really appreciated was finally Kobo brought in the ComfortLight Pro screen onto this. If you knew the previous Elipsa, it did not have that. So if you wanted to read, let's say in darker settings, you could do dark mode, but you couldn't change the temperature. The color temperature of the screen was something that you couldn't change at all. Here you can, just like with other Kobo devices that have had that for years. You can do that here so that when it's just easier on the eyes if you're going to be reading in at night, day, in the dark, whatever it is. You could of course use dark mode too if you prefer, but I think the fact that they just added that element is huge. It was a huge omission, I think, from the previous Elipsa, and it's finally here, and is one big reason I think for going for this device, especially if you never went for the previous Elipsa. It just falls more in line with the other Kobo devices that are out there. What I've always liked about Kobo too is just the flexibility. So I mentioned PDFs earlier, but there's a number of different file formats that this thing will read, all of which you can pretty much write on, which I think is great. You have also the other integrations that I think are very cool. So Overdrive still works if you have access to your public library, you want to borrow books, you can do that. Pocket also still works if you want to take articles that you've saved online and then you want to read them on here, you can do that too. With 32 gigs of storage on here, there's more than enough room for all the ebooks and all the other documents you want to add on here, including audiobooks too. This device supports those like a couple of the other Kobo devices do as well, particularly the Elipsa and the Sage. So you have just a litany of content here as far as what you can read. You don't get color naturally because it's an e-ink display. But if you were, let's say, wanted to read comic books or you want to read anything that had photos or images on there, you would, of course, have to do it in monochrome, but it is pretty legible and pretty sharp on here as well. So from that standpoint, whatever it is you're reading, whatever it is you're looking at, it looks nice. And that's what I would expect. On a 10-inch display of this size, I expected that, and that's what I got. When it comes to taking notes, the experience is very similar to the way it was before. You can create notebooks, and some of those can be smart notebooks where whatever you write by hand can then be converted to text automatically, or you can then choose to do it yourself. So for example, if you write something and then you circle it, you take the circle icon and then you circle that, it will only convert that text that you circled. I did notice that there was some trouble with this, that if you wrote too close and then you circle too close, it would the device thought that you were also looking to convert some of that text that was nearby. It is one of those things that I think Kobo can fix with a software update, so let's hope that they do that. But for the most part, the conversion process works pretty smoothly. So I don't think you're going to run into too many problems as far as that goes. And if you're writing into notebooks, again, it's free form, right? So you can choose different templates that you want to use and then write into them the way you want. The pen has a pretty long battery life, so I can't even quantify it for you because I'm not sure. Like, I haven't had to recharge it because it died for any reason. So it looks like it'll last a pretty long time. I just can't quantify for you how much you'd be writing every day before you need to recharge it. But again, even if you plug it in, it's not going to take long to recharge. Same thing with the e-reader itself. So Kobo no longer gives any sort of number. It doesn't give you a rating. It just says that it will last for weeks, which is accurate, assuming that you're reading for about, I don't know, half an hour to an hour a day. You can probably go a couple weeks before you need to recharge. If it's any less than that, then this thing can last quite some time. So it's going to last a while. It doesn't take that long to recharge. I saw that it took about 90 minutes to fully recharge, which isn't bad, all things considered, but it could take longer depending what kind of charger you're using. So it's not hard to get this up and running after it's died. And if you want to commute with it, it is a little larger than other Kobo e-readers, of course. So, you know, when I think of like the Libra, the Sage, things like that, or especially the Neo, which is like, it can fit in a pocket, this is going to be more cumbersome, if you will, because it's like a tablet, right? So if you wanted to travel with a tablet, this is going to be a very similar thing to that. And again, I would highly recommend getting the case, or at least a case like this, so that you can protect the pen more than anything else, but also protect the screen and also put the device to sleep when you're not using it. A couple of key points I want to point out before I go here. This has no water resistance. This is not to be used in a tub or in a pool, unlike certain Kobo e-readers that do allow that. There isn't that kind of protection here, nor do I find it particularly rugged. So you want to be careful not to drop this, not because I feel like it'll shatter or anything, but it just doesn't feel as durable, right? There's no metal here, so there isn't anything that's going to withstand a very significant drop. And so I would be wary of how you hold it and what you do with it, just in case, you know, you accidentally drop it and damage it, right? But especially around water, be careful around water. And that's my review of the Kobo Elipsa 2E from the Best Buy blog. I'm Teddy K. Thanks for watching.